Hello, and welcome to Get to Know Your City on River City's Community Access Media. My name is Milt Van Natta, and I'm pleased to be with you again as we continue our series of interviews with those running for City Council on the April 5th ballot and the main election that's just a few days ahead of us now. And we're also featuring the mayoral candidates on this series of interviews and conversations on Get to Know Your City. Our guest this time is Lee Graf. Lee is running for District 2 alderperson, and over the course of the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to get to know Lee and talk about issues concerning District 2 and the city of Wisconsin Rapids. Thank you for joining us, Lee, today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Take this opportunity at the outset of our conversation just to introduce yourself to our viewers. Let's get acquainted with Lee Graf.
My name is Lee Graf. I was born and raised in Wisconsin Rapids. Went to high school at Lincoln High School, graduated, went to work as an apprentice millwright, which I currently do still. Traveled the country working on various jobs. Did that for about 8 years. Went up to Whiting for a year, where unfortunately with the mill closure up there, a large group of us lost their jobs. So immediately after that, was lucky enough to get hired at Nakusa, where I'm currently working right now.
Okay. So what happened that you decided to run for elected office? Why at this point in time? Why the City Council of Wisconsin Rapids? Talk to us about that process.
Well, what happened was I was involved a lot with the mill and the maintenance department. For the last 3 years, I was the vice president of our union, and then this January just got voted in as president. We've done a lot of positive things at the mill, as far as employee engagement, working with the company, really partnering up more so than what had happened in the past, working out some pretty tough issues. I was a part of their contract negotiations. And I actually had a few group of people that confronted me and wanted me to, or asked me if I would ever think about running for city council, and that's actually what sparked the idea. We've done various projects at the mill. I helped get Nepco Lake access to the west side of the lake for the ice fishermen. So that was a positive influence to the community that I was able to do in my position at the mill. And because of that, some people were interested in having me move on, and that's what brings me to run for alderman.
How do you see that role, Lee? What do you see the alder person's main role within the structure of city government?
To me, it's more of a getting to know what the issues are in the community, and really working together, which is what I think a lot of people are seeing maybe not happen as much as it could. My goal as an alderman would be to run to try to bring people together and make sure we're doing the necessary things as far as planning and execution of plans and following through. As far as the alderman, it's really the eyes and the ears of the people in the community. Doing some doors, it's really been quite interesting to see some of the comments that were harder issues that people didn't want to bring up, but yet still did. And I was happy to answer to the best of my knowledge as far as what some of the things that I see. And so I think our role as aldermen are to really find out what's going on and move the city forward.
Let's move to the city on a large level. You've said already that maybe people could work together better. That's one of your evaluations. You observed the city, maybe people could work together better. What else? Or maybe expand on that, but give us your evaluation of the efficiency, if you will, and the effectiveness of city government in Wisconsin Rapids right now.
I see, with the idea of, everybody knows that the city did a citywide Lean Six Sigma project that is currently stalling right now, and a lot of people aren't seeing the effects of it from what the questions that I'm getting. And I think there's a lot of value there. I think we need to drive that program forward. And along the same lines as, getting together, working together. And I'm not, haven't been involved in politics and as far as how these relationships ended up being. But when you look at individual projects that happen around the community, it makes you wonder how the groups of people involved, and I guess that's the main reason, to get involved and to see the change and be a part of it.
Can you give us a little more information when you say to our viewers a Lean Sigma 6 program and it could be more effective? Fill that out a little bit for us.
Well, through talking to different groups of people, what we see is that there's a disconnect between the idea of lean is to really make the people that are doing the work more effective, and what is we can do to support them. Maybe not have the, how do I say this? Maybe not have the steps that it takes to get certain projects on the way. We see, or what I'm hearing is, what's happening out in the field isn't necessarily as what the direction in which people are seeing it happen.
Okay.
That would be a big push. If we could move things forward, make sure people out on the streets are not only doing their job, but really going back to what is it we can do to make this process better, and I think that's the idea of it.
Okay. Let's jump into economic development, because one of the things, Lee, that I'm struck by is you're a young man, and one of the things that we've been talking about in this city, quite frankly, over the course of your lifetime, is how to keep young people like yourself in this community and raising families here, providing jobs. I mean, we've got a great place to live in many, many ways, but it's linked back to having jobs for people. Tell us your vision for economic development and how the city of Wisconsin Rapids can create more jobs and keep young people here raising families.
Yeah, it is really tough when you look at the amount of people that graduated 15 to 20 years ago to the amount of people who are graduating out of Lincoln High School currently. One of the things that I see is maybe we're going out. I would be lying to you if I told you I could go out and get new jobs and bring people in, because I think that's not unrealistic. In the state, we're centrally located. We're a great place to do business. We have great outlying communities, plus we're centrally located in the state, so it makes it really easy for transportation costs. A river for natural resources running through our community, plus a big railroad that runs directly through our community. So we are an attractive place for businesses. But what I see is the businesses we currently have here, maybe there's something more we could do. I work at Domtar. Does anybody truly know the paper Domtar makes? Verso, Stora Enso Consolidated, Stora Enso, New Page, and now Verso. Does anybody truly know what Verso makes? Are we doing enough as a city council or as a community to really make these businesses in our area thrive? I've heard rumors, and I've done some research about Renaissance Learning to learn more about their business and how Lincoln High School, we couldn't afford their program, and it took a large donation to make sure that our high school is using Renaissance Learning software. And it's frustrating at times when you see these businesses that employ a lot of people, but we're not helping them grow in the community. And we, like I said, with being centrally located in the state, we are a desirable place to be. I guess that would be one of the things I'd want to work on, is rebuilding the relationships, whether it be the mill, Renaissance Learning, a furniture business, Ace Hardware, some of these other businesses that we currently are supporting. What can we do to make them better? And in order to turn the economy around, if we make the businesses we currently have thrive, it just makes it more attractive to have other businesses come in.
Is the city of Wisconsin Rapids as business friendly, as business supportive as it needs to be or should be?
Well, it's really hard to answer that. That's a tough question. And the reason it's tough is because, the economy's taken a downturn in the last 10 years. So to really answer that, it would be tough. But it's, and I would go back to, are we really doing enough? Do we really know enough about our businesses? Are we building our businesses? Regardless of where the economy as a country is heading or where we were, what can we do in this small community to make it bigger?
Okay. What's your vision for downtown? Many see the downtown area as an untapped resource that needs to be developed for this community to reach its potential. What's your take on that, Lee?
I agree with you 100%. I think we could do a lot with our downtown. Every community that has a waterway through their community rallies around that waterway because it's a big social aspect to it. Do I think the downtown development in its entirety is correct? I think there's parts of it that we could do far less expensive, smaller wins per se, that would benefit our community. To the elaborate design that we're seeing downtown, I think it's a pretty tough pill to swallow when, a lot of that area is underwater in the spring.
Okay.
But I do think there is a need to develop the downtown area.
We're talking with Lee Graf. He's on the ballot in District 2 for the City Council in Wisconsin Rapids. Lee, a lot of headlines lately from Flint, Michigan, and the water crisis that's going on there. And that just, you take those things for granted, and then you get a story like that in the news, and you go, man, what is our city doing to ensure that hopefully nothing like that could ever happen here with a vital system like a water supply? Talk about what a city should do, what a city council person should do to be on top of and be proactive so those kind of things don't happen here.
To be honest with you, the city needs to really understand what caused the incident in Flint. We have other things in this community that are going on environmentally around water. It would be a job for any alderman to really dig into what are we doing currently to what new technologies are out there and what are things we can improve on.
Okay. Would you call infrastructure and vital services, though, top of the list issues?
I think around the country it's a top of the list issue. I mean, infrastructure, it has depleted over the years because of the lack of monies or money going elsewhere and things, not necessarily being ignored, but pushed down the line a little further. So I foresee a lot of changes in infrastructure in this community, and I definitely believe we have the people in the community that can do it. So,
well, one of the headline issues in the community has also been an aquatics project with certain conditions happening over at the Mead Pool, and here we're heading and hoping for spring once again as it's been a little warmer this week. What's your position on an aquatics/pool project?
I think it's a great opportunity for people to get out in their community and to support an aquatic center into its entirety into whatever we decide to make it as. I think it's a very important part of our community. Nakusa shut their pool down.
Yeah.
Port Edwards is shutting their pool down. We shut down the East Side pool. Beer Pool is no longer there. What are we doing for our younger generation, which you had spoke of earlier, to retain them and to get them out in the community and make sure that they are enjoying themselves? And I would love to see an aquatic center. I would love to see a vast improvement in the pool that we have currently to future potential. I don't necessarily know if our community should shy away from one or two. We have two different sides of the community.
Yeah.
What brings people out in the public? Making events or the parks that we currently have, doing something different, re-engineering our parks to make them better, I think would ultimately, help our community get out and enjoy themselves.
One of the impressions, Lee, we met for the first time at this interview, but one of the impressions I hear from you as to why people encourage you to run and saw that potential in you is you're a collaborator. Let's work together. Let's use what we have. Let's make the most of it. And a communicator. Talk about the importance of those two things and how you have an impact on city government as an alder person with that as one of your strengths.
It's funny. That's exactly what we've done at the mill. We can't move together unless we move together. And unfortunately, like I had discussed earlier, we see a lot of division in the community and the city council, and I don't know what it takes to rebuild those relationships back up, and if communication's it, then that's what we need to be doing, and we need to be more effective at it. As far as, I'm pretty much an open book when it comes to the way I feel, the way I think about certain issues. And the reason is because I've worked hard to get to where I'm at, and I would love for my kids to stay in the community when they get older. So if there's something that I can do, whether it be get involved, or even if I'm not involved, even if there's other outlying projects that I can be a part of, I think those are all great things. And communication's the root of it. So
How does that work? You step into the city council, you have a mayor's office, you have city department heads, you have a constituency. Somehow you have to connect all those things together. That will test those collaborative skills.
Of course it does. Of course it does. But what is the purpose of an alderman if we're not working on these skills? To get to know who we're working with, to get to know the processes in which certain things in our community gets done. That's key. I mean, getting to know everybody, the key players, and what we can do to make a difference, and to try to shed some positive light on a community that has been hard struck in the last 20 years. It would be a tough job, and it's phone calls, it's conversations, it's getting in front of the right people to say the right things, and it all takes different forms. Whether I've talked to a bunch of people, and leadership is what it takes. And to be a leader it's a hard position, and a lot of people look at leaders as, it's one thing to be in the position, it's another thing to be considered a leader. That's, I guess, where I'm headed with this. If I become alderman, that to me is a position of leadership, and that's the communication, the collaboration. It's all a part of being a leader. So that's an area that I think I'm pretty strong at, and would like to be able to make some positive changes.
Okay. Let's look out 2 years. It's a 2-year term. What would some of those changes be? What would we recognize as some of those changes if you were elected and able to be the change that you'd like to see in the city?
Well, I'm currently in conversations with a bunch of outlying organizations with trying to bring together the community and looking at smaller projects, maybe not as extensive as the in-river swimming pool or the downtown development with the Commerce Building going across from the courthouse. What are the small wins in the community that we can do? We have a vast resource for athletics at certain parks in the community, and I think if we improve some of these, it's a quick win for the community. It brings in outside money. It's a win-win for our kids, and that's the direction we need to head.
Let's narrow our focus now. Let's get down into District 2, talk about specifics there. What do you think the biggest issue facing District 2 is right now? It might be different than what's facing the city at large, but what's the biggest issue facing your district?
Well, it's not quite my district, but West Grand, the development of West Grand, and the businesses moving from the west side of town to the east side of town, which has been great for the east side of the east side community, which is all one, so it's fine.
Right.
A lot of things we're seeing on our side of town right now is the current speed limit on 25th. I've been getting a lot of comments about our position of raising the speed limit in a residential area. That's an immediate one. But nobody wants to see businesses or people have to drive 20 minutes to the other side of town to do business. And I think that is on the west side of town. One of the biggest things is what can we do to regain that industry side or job side or even service side? What are the things that we can do with the West Grand and redeveloping some of the businesses that have left, and what can we do with these buildings, and what can we do with keeping people happy?
Okay. What is your position on the 25th Avenue thoroughfare?
I think it would be really hard for me to raise a speed limit in a residential area. I live on that side of town. I see the amount of people that we have an assisted living on 25th Avenue. We built a retirement, 75% retirement village plus 25% lower income buildings. But what I've seen with that is we are seeing a lot more people walking their dogs, people taking their grandkids out, people on bikes. It's really encouraging to see that. And if we turn around and increase the speed limit, we add that. It's an added danger to that side of town. So my position would be I would have to back the people on 25th Avenue who are currently unhappy with the idea that we would be increasing the speed limit. So,
envision this for me. Look forward and envision this, that an issue comes before the city in which the interests of District 2 are contrary to the interests of the city at large. What do you do in that tension of doing what's best for the city and what's best for the interests of District 2?
That's exactly what it is. It's communication. And if there's a lack of communication, it means that there's a lack of understanding of what's going on. And I would hope you don't ask me a question right now and throw me on the spot. But if there was something that I would have to respond to, what is it? And what is it that I need to tell the people in District 2 that this is the reason moving forward that this is a positive change? And it's a hard thing to do. Those conversations are hard to have, but getting out in the community and making sure you're having those conversations so people understand why these greater decisions are made will ease people's minds to think that their interests aren't being looked after.
Is there a project, you've kind of mentioned the West Grand Avenue area in making that a place where businesses and people want to be a healthy area of the city. Is there a specific project you'd like to implement right away in District 2 that you'd take before the city and engage immediately?
Yeah, but it's on a smaller level than bringing and I alluded to before about bringing another business into the community. The project I'm really looking into, and I've talked to the other ball players, and as far as who's all involved, is we have different groups of people that have acted differently throughout the community and have done really well by themselves. But we can bring them together with a project. I'd like to see the Mead Field and that Aquatics Center at West Junior or at Mead School, the Mead River, or not the Mead River Block, the Mead Block, where we have all the athletic fields and the tennis courts right now. If we were to turn all those diamonds around, bring in outside money by holding tournaments, sporting events for the kids, the pool there or aquatic center, whatever it ends up being, it would be a great big area that we could dedicate to being outside, having fun, and rebuilding some of the programs that we have throughout the community.
I was just at a conference in the Wisconsin Dells, going past a line of incredible athletic. They're bringing in tournaments and creating a lot of stuff based upon the athletic fields right there.
Yeah, and I think it's a big need in the community. I wasn't a part of the city when the Rafters came to town, okay? But I played Legion ball. I was on the fence whether it was good or bad, and I didn't go the first year. I thought that we didn't support our local American Legion the way we should have. How were we ever going to support another athletic team? The second year I went, and I was thrown back by the amount of kids running around with ball gloves in their hand. And regardless of whatever happened in the past, to move forward, we can harness that younger energy, these younger kids that really thrive to go to these ball games and see these ball players. And if we create an environment for them to be brought up where athletics is a big part of it, I think it's a win-win for the community.
You clearly place a priority on communication. You've gone back to that with your constituents over and over. How would you make yourself available to your constituents? How do you see your relationship with them developing?
Well, not being in the position right now, I don't know the form in which it would take. I think first off, in the good that I have heard by going door to door, but I understand there's a lot of people in that ward, and it would be really hard to go through District 2 and to knock on everybody's door to let them know what's going on or what's not going on. I don't know if it's in a form of a letter that gets sent out or if it's in a form of my number is readily accessible. People calling me, if it's me going out and talking to them in person, I think a lot more can be said in person. And, that, like I said, without being in the position, it's hard. Communication is tough. And it's every business, whether it be city politics or running a business, I think communication is one of the hardest things to do. So I can't tell you for sure what the form is going to be,
Sure.
but I would definitely look at whatever I could do.
Give me an evaluation to this statement. Is the city of Wisconsin Rapids currently healthy?
Well, if we're judging health by the amount of jobs that we've lost over the last 10 years, I would say no. If we're judging health by the great people we have in this community, I would say yes. I'm very proud of coming from Central Wisconsin, this community. I'm very proud of the things I've done in the past. I'm very proud of the way I was brought up and the morals that are stuck in me. And it's not only because of my parents, but it's because of the community. And so I think we are a healthy community from a social aspect. I think every community, every business, I just think we can move forward and get better at what we do.
So the last question of our conversation is this one. Go ahead now by tell the voters of District 2 why you would like to have their support on April 5th and their vote on April 5th.
One, I'm hardworking. I'm a leader. I am intuitive. I believe in, I have certain beliefs, and I would love to see people vote, whether it's for me or not for me. That means they truly are starting to care more about what's going on in their community, and that's a big stance and a big thing, a big turn of events I would like to see happen. So as far as the sales pitch and that, just get out and vote.
That general election that Lee just referred to is on Tuesday, April the 5th. And the matchup in District 2 is Todd Furkey and Lee Graf, our guest today. And along with Lee, we urge you in District 2 to get out and participate and vote on April the 5th. And we also invite you to stay tuned because we have a series of conversations with all the candidates for city council positions as well as the two men running for mayor of Wisconsin Rapids. Watch them online and on River City's community access media across all the formats that we have and bring you programming on. This has been Get to Know Your City. Join us again for another edition soon.